take me to a place that I've never seen. You build up my hopes, you help me to dream. Flickering light, shadows of light. Flickering light, light up the night. Flickering light, our windows to dream. Flickering light, and a world so extreme.
Hey there, hi there, how there. I am Kroll, and welcome to the Dorians TV Toast 2021, brought to you by the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics. I am so happy to be joining you here this evening or this morning or whenever you might be streaming this. We've got a great show for you. We've got lots of celebrity appearances. We've got all kinds of fun to be had. Now, it was just last year, a year ago, that we started doing this show right here, and I'm in the very same space I was last year, and I wasn't supposed to be. But you see, COVID has gone absolutely crazy thanks to Delta variant. And honey, that's not a drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race, child. That, although that would be a great Delta variant. No, it's actually very deadly. It's not nearly as fun as parties, and you need to stay away from it. Now, we've got masks and we've got vaccines, but unless there's a vaccine for stupid, it's going to be a very long fall. So please do what you can to stay safe. I was supposed to be outside today, but I wasn't going out there. They're coughing and sneezing and carrying on down in Vegas. I think all the casinos should be closed unless you're vaccinated. You don't need to gamble unless you got a shot. Okay, I've got good news and I've got bad news. The good news is, since we last met, television has had a spectacular season. It really has. The bad news, COVID's out of control, and TV's probably going to be your only source of entertainment for the next 6 to 12 months yet again. But that's okay. Ever since the first commercial TV broadcast in 1947, TV has been there to get us through even the toughest of times with the greatest of laughs or the best or worst of news. It's a friend, it's an enemy, it's a babysitter. It's part of so many of our lives. It really, truly is. And it makes memories. TV is connection to each other, to the world, to information, and to entertainment. Now, it's both public and it's private, sort of like social media is today. If there is a TV in your life, you have memories of something you saw on it, the people you watched it with, shows that meant something to you. And I hope this show is going to mean something to you. We're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to let the winners talk. How about that? We're not going to play them off with some band we can't really afford. We want to hear what they have to say. We're going to let our presenters talk. We're going to sprinkle in some fun facts about television, and we're going to call it a party, honey. Speaking of parties, I'm sure Brit's planning one. Oh, yeah, Daddy is stepping aside as conservator, honey. And you know, if anyone ever shouted Free Britney, they're feeling good. That would have never happened had it not been for FX and the New York Times presents Framing Britney Spears, a nominee here this evening. And as COVID rages right outside my door, literally, and as the maskless morons march, not one but two shows looked at another virus and how we responded to it. It's a Sin and Pose. And they got that so very right. Just ripped my heart out. If those shows didn't make you emotional, you ain't got any emotion, like half of America, it would seem these days. Now, for those of you that have to have something in your hand while you're watching the TV, careful. Why don't you tweet along with me? The hashtag is TV and me. Spell out the and or it won't work, okay? TV and me. Tell us what you're loving. Tell us what some of your favorite shows are. Tell us whose DMs you'd like to slide into. In the words of my Lizzo girl, for me, Chris Maloney. No two ways about it, honey. Ever since Oz, that show has helped a lot of people come out, okay? And he said recently on Twitter, said, just doing my part for the cause. Well, thank you, Chris. I think Randolph Mantooth from Emergency or Richard Hatch from Battlestar Galactica might be the reason I'm gay. They were my first TV thirst. Of course, I did love it all. I loved all of TV. Shows where horses talked or Martians were your BFF. My favorite Martian. I bet you don't know that one. Where Munsters and Monsters could be found. Where we reached for the outer limits and honey, we ended up in the Twilight Zone, okay? And whether I was taking a voyage to the bottom of the sea or planning a Star Trek, whether I was racing with a guy named Speed in the Mach 5 and Spritle and Chim Chim in the trunk, or jumping higher than I ever thought I could with Jamie Summers. I love TV, and I bet so do you. And you know, I don't understand people who say, I don't watch television. I don't let my children watch television. I don't get that, because TV can be very positive. And yes, it can be very negative. For instance, we know those news channels out there right now spreading all that horror. They ain't news channels. They're no more news channels than I'm Donald Trump. And do I look orange and about to be indicted in several states? No. Okay? That's not new. So TV can be good and it can be bad, like chocolate. Chocolate's great in small amounts. Eat too much, you're in a 3-wheel cart at Walmart reaching for the Oreos. I'm telling you, So that's why the Dorians are here, to help you find the best that's out there and leave all that noise behind, honey. And as we saw a group of friends reunite this year to enormous ratings, it proves that shows still matter to people. And some matter even more than others right now. Why? Because they are showing all about the diversity. And I was just watching Star Trek Discovery, and I saw a non-binary character, 2 gay guys, an interracial couple, and some aliens doing something weird, and that was just in one scene. Now, child, space is hip, and some of those aliens are hot. I gotta tell you, why not? I'd go for them. All right, now it's time to officially, I'm coming out, so you better get this party started. And to get this party started with us right now is the president of the Gallica board, Monica Estrella Negra. Take it away, Monica, girl, go, honey.
I am Monica Estrella Negra, proud president of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics, home of the Dorian Awards to the best in all of film and television. I am editor-in-chief of CineSpeak, an organization based in Philadelphia where we connect the dots between social justice and cinema. I am also co-founder of Audrey's Revenge Film, a horror collective dedicated to celebrating Black and marginalized voices within horror, science fiction, and genre-specific film. Being a filmmaker myself, I understand how difficult it can be to navigate the industry, especially as a Black queer woman. This is why, as president of Gallica, I hope to continue the uplifting of marginalized and LGBTQ voices within the film industry, as well as within entertainment journalism. I would also like to congratulate our nominees and winners of this year's awards. We have a very special show planned out for you guys, so I am very excited to see your reactions after you've watched. I hope to hear from you soon, and thank you for your continued support of our organization and our mission.
Thanks, Monica. As you can see, in today's world, just about anybody can be a cartoon character. You gotta love my hair, right? I mean, come on, if only Animojis came with a Beyonce fan. Of course, no one's ever accused me of not being animated. Now, in September 1960, 2 years before even I was born, the first primetime animated TV show, The Flintstones, debuted on ABC, Yabba Dabba Doo, and ran for 6 years. Saturday mornings were dominated by animation. It was my babysitter. I mean, I learned how to be gay from Bugs Bunny, basically. Now, primetime animation was able to get away with things that scripted and live television just couldn't, and it continues to do so. And when the internet took off, animation went there too. In fact, one animated show, Queer Duck, started online. I was told later by Mike Reese, one of the creators, that he actually used Andrew and I at KFI AM 640 as sort of a template for Queer Duck. That was pretty cool. I mean, you know, you're a template for a cartoon. Our next presenter got to voice the lead character for the Showtime series of the same name, but is no stranger to television. He's worked with puppets like Alf and Tammy Faye Baker, who would make a great puppet, actually, and has kept us entertained on shows like Too Close for Comfort and Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. Please welcome the voice of 1,000 characters, J Bullock!
Thanks, Kroll. You are such a character. And thank you for having me on the show. I'm here to toast the noms and winner of the Dorian Award for Best Animated Series. You know, animation is one of the first ways many of us discover television and stuff about ourselves. Like, did you know Casper the Friendly Ghost was gay? Well, not really, but it says here in the script to tell a story here at this point about you when you were a kid, and which characters you thought were gay or had a crush on. And, well, there weren't any back then, so Casper's it. Adult animation has a huge important place on TV. The shows can go wherever they want if they've got a good bunch of artists. So they're often freer to get social commentary across, champion love and acceptance in a way that sticks even more than hard-hitting dramas. So, the nominees for Best Animated Series are Big Mouth, Bob's Burgers, Harlan Quinn, Invincible, South Park, the pandemic special. And the winner is, I'm so excited, Big mouth! Congratulations, gang! Accepting is co-creator Nick Kroll and guest star Josie Totah.
We are genuinely so grateful and honored to receive the Dorian from the LGBTQ Entertainment Critics Association. I hope I got that right. I have it right here. I knew if I had tried to hold it up and say it at the same time, I would screw up. So, but I'm just glad mainly that I tried to match, and I feel like I've done a pretty good job. But honestly, we're so honored because we've worked very hard on creating stories about inclusivity, and to be honored by this organization really means a lot to us. And even more so, I'm more excited that we've brought in Josie Totah to be a part of our family. She's an amazing actor and an amazing talent, and we're just thrilled to include her in our family. And she's just amazing.
First, thank you, Nick, for saying nice things about me, and thank you for including me in this. I feel like hopefully this is a step in the right direction in representation, especially like in animated series and films. Trans characters, I think this is like one of the first, which is sort of insane to think about. And yeah, I mean, getting to be a character on like a show that's so funny is like one of the greatest gifts. I was once famously on a UK animated series that taught children how to urinate. So this is a very much, this is like a good half step above that. And I'm happy that I'm no longer doing that, and I'm getting to be a part of really cool things like this. So.
I went to a Jewish day school with my co-creator Andrew Goldberg, and it's loosely based on some of our experiences growing up and going through puberty. And at the time, I don't know that we had any trans kids in our class. Maybe they are now. At the time, this was in the early 90s. It was not nearly as easy or inclusive to be anything but straight, cis, heterosexual. But what we found, when we created the show, it was beginning with the diving off of our stories. But as we started to tell our stories, we started to expand and tell other kids' stories, some of them based on friends of ours, some of them based on our writers. And as we continued to evolve the show, we realized that we had the responsibility of not just telling our stories, but the stories of other kids and what their experiences were. And my co-creators, Andrew Goldberg, Jen Flackett, and Mark Levin, had been interested in telling a trans story. At which point we also brought in Patty Harrison, who is an incredibly talented comedian, actor, writer, performer. And she helped us break this story and wrote the story for the episode where we introduce Natalie, which is Josie's character. And we worked hard at trying to tell this story that was hopefully true to one kid's experience, but also didn't limit that kid to just transness being the entirety of their identity. And then when we brought in Josie as the actor, she brought so much of herself into the character and was great to collaborate with on it. So our goal, no matter how we grew up, and no matter how anyone grows up, I think we all have, at least on our show, the desire to tell all these different stories, because at their core, they're all the same story, which is especially around adolescence and puberty, which is everyone feels quite alone, and everyone feels like what is happening to them is the first time it's ever happening and the craziest thing that's ever happened. So whether you're a straight, cis, white male, or a person of color, trans, bi, pan, demi, whatever, however you identify, that hopefully that this show speaks to you in some way or other.
I mean, there's like no representation for trans people other than like really negative portrayals of men playing trans people, and which has perpetuated stereotypes and furthered the sort of ignorance surrounding trans culture and trans people. So no, and getting to see it now is super exciting. I'm so excited about MJ Rodriguez and Janet Mock and like Laverne Cox and all these incredible women who are finally getting a spotlight and are getting to be sources of representation for thousands of kids who never get to see themselves. But yeah, I mean, our show is, like I said, like one of the first, which is so cool. And I just feel very honored that I get to be a part of the shepherding of this like new wave.
Animation allows people to talk about things that in live action are more complicated to do, like our show in general is about kids going through puberty. And so knowing that it's adults voicing those kids has allowed us to tackle more complicated, nuanced social matters. And I will say, our goal is we have a responsibility what messaging we're putting out there. We try to be very careful about teaching people things, because we are a comedy show and entertainment, and we hope that the messages that kids are receiving and learning are absorbed in a way that, and I do think it's easier in animation, but I think as we're watching in live action, things are changing, and hopefully for the better. I mean, Josie's also the star of Saved by the Bell, which was a show that I watched growing up, and now this new generation, to see Josie on that show being funny and beautiful and smart and complicated and things like that, it's a really wonderful, it's just a great, I think, momentum as we head towards hopefully a more inclusive media landscape where people can play all types of things and aren't necessarily always about whatever their this one element of their identity.
We need more like incredible storytellers like Nick and everyone at Big Mouth who are really great allies and who not only want to include representation on their show, but true and authentic representation. And, I mean, Nick did so much work for this, talking to trans people, talking to parents of trans kids. And, that's the kind of work that's necessary in order to see like real concrete change.
Honored and happy to be included.
Well, hello, friends. I'm Deven Green.
I'm Ned Douglas.
Now, as professional musicians, the TV shows which really resonated with both of us was
MTV.
And Much Music in Canada. We got to see the talent, the humor, and the heart of the LGBTQ plus artists such as
Elton John, David Bowie, Pete Burns, Queen, Culture Club, Village People,
Katie Lang, Erasure, Pet Shop Boys, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, George Michael.
Tracy Chapman.
That's just a few. It's interesting because other TV shows of the time, they were just barely showing any representation. These artists and songs are still beloved and influential today. So impactful.
Congratulations to Nick Kroll, Josie Totah, and the entire cast and crew of Big Mouth on Your Dorian. Now it's time for Best TV Drama, a category I am very suited to present or to introduce, since I have been called a drama queen my entire life. But not to worry, I took it to heart, made a career out of it. Own who you are, baby. And drama loves TV. In fact, the first real drama queen was Miss Azetta Jewel, honey, when in 1928 she became part of the first drama broadcast on television, The Queen's Messenger on WGY. Yep, one letter away from W gay, and it's called The Queen's Messenger, but there's no subliminal stuff going on there at all. It was a test for executives in New York from General Electric about the newfangled television set. What is this thing? It obviously worked, and since the 1950s, dramas will not be stopped. Our presenter for this year's Dorian for Best TV Drama has been serving drama, honey, ever since her modeling career bolted her to stardom and a series of firsts. She is a revered ball culture artist in NYC and has been the face of brands like Tommy Hilfiger, photographed by legends like Stephen Meisel, who I'm loving. She was the first transgender woman of color to appear in Vogue India. Last month was the first trans woman of color to grace the cover of Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. She was fierce. Hello. That took a while, didn't it? And she is the first trans woman of color in a leading role in a Cannes Film Festival darling, which was called Port Authority by Martin Scorsese. Hello. That 2019 film led her to the mega TV hit Pose. She joined the show as Pretentia Khan. I think that's Shaka's illegitimate sister. And it's now she's up and coming in this new film, asking for it with names like Ezra Miller and Friends of Gattaca, Gabby Sibiday. She is Leyna Bloom, and we all need to strike a pose for her.
Thanks, Kroll. I think we all know drama comes in all shapes and sizes, every shade and every color of the rainbow in every situation, from mildly annoying to major, and I prefer my drama on TV. This year, the members of the Society of the LGBTQ Entertainment Critics have found 5 powerhouse series that excel above the now literal tens and thousands of dramas available online, streaming, and over the air. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but still, they sorted through all the shows so you and I don't have to. And they've come up with some doozies for the Dorian, the best TV drama. The nominees are Bridgerton, Shonda Rhimes Goes Netflix, Lovecraft Country, HBO Max, P-Valley Stars, Pose FX, The Crown Netflix. And the winner is Pose. Accepting this award is the co-creator and executive producer, director, and writer, Stephen Keitel.
Thank you to the Dorian Awards for this incredible honor. So moved and so touched. Well, one, I had amazing collaborators, and we all knew that the stakes were really high, that we had to get it right, that the LGBTQ plus community deserved it, that the individuals, as you noted, who we lost to HIV/AIDS in the beginning of the pandemic deserved it, and everyone who is still living with HIV/AIDS today deserved it. So it started there. It started with having someone like Ryan Murphy, who, like yourself, also lived through it and said, this is exactly what happened. This is what my experience was. It was having someone incredible like Our Lady J, our writer-producer, who is a trans woman and is also HIV positive. And then it became incumbent upon me as a storyteller, as a show creator, to do my homework, to go out, and any information that I didn't already have, I needed to talk to folks. I needed to research. And so that's how we got it right. We who are part of the LGBTQIA plus community, we don't ever get to see ourselves in film and in television. And as someone who is a huge lover of film and TV and have been since I was a really small boy, our narratives are always either steeped in our trauma, or we're the body in the gutter, or or AIDS is a death sentence, and so we're not thriving, we're solely surviving, or in the case of AIDS narratives, dying. And so I saw Pose as an opportunity to rewrite the narrative. And what Jenny Livingston's documentary Paris is Burning did for me was that it shined a light on a very particular experience that some people were having in New York in the 80s that was very parallel to my own experience. As you noted, I was born in 1980, so I was a small boy. And I never frequented the balls in the 80s, but my parents grew up in Harlem. And, I was born and raised in the Bronx. I did not know that this community existed. And I wasn't introduced to Paris is Burning until I was already in college and in my 20s. And so to think that I grew up in this neighborhood, my father literally grew up around the corner from where the balls took place. And it's like to think about the fact that this community existed and I didn't know that they were there, and that there was the only account of their existence in film and TV is this documentary. And so for me, I thought, oh, here's an opportunity to craft a show and to tell a narrative that will now, share this community with the entire world. A great question. Well, I think one of the ways that I know for sure that I can aid in continuing telling our story is to support up and coming writers. So if I have the ability and the opportunity to pass scripts along, or through my production company Story Avenue, elevate and take scripts to studios and to networks, then that's the most practical way. And I think in terms of my own practice as a storyteller, it's my willingness to continue to, as I noted earlier, educate myself about all of because there's so many stories to be told, like the LGBTIA community isn't just one thing. And again, I think historically, like our stories just haven't been told, or they've been told by, cis people or straight people. Like we haven't often been the ones at the center of telling our own story. I think that's what made Pose so refreshing and so different. And so for me, it's let me go and look and find what are those narratives. And even if there's stories that feel familiar, even if there's stories that we've seen before, the fact that we are the ones telling it makes it that much more special and different. I'm going to cheat and say that there are two. Our season 1 finale, Mother of the Year, that is an episode that always fills me up because there's something so beautiful about seeing Blanca honored in that way and finally reaching the goal that in the pilot she sets out to achieve. And the other episodes are series finale. It's a really emotional episode, and it is, I think, arguably one of our, if not the most important episode of the show, not solely because it is representative of everything that Pose is, but it so specifically tells the story of our community's survival at a time when we were not being supported by the government and when we didn't have access to quality healthcare. And I think that obviously that feels all the more urgent right now when we're once again in the middle of a global pandemic. And obviously the loss, spoiler alert for folks who haven't seen it, the loss of Pray Tell was also, it was really emotional and tough for me because I lost my grandmother while I was directing the episode. So I could directly relate to the emotions of the characters. So I would say the finale.
I'm
going to count down my 3 favorite TV series of all time, Casey Kasem style. Now, they're all sitcoms, which is fitting because I see television as being an escapist form of entertainment, and the sitcom is as escapist as TV gets. Okay, number 3, Three's Company, which is a sitcom that introduced me to sex comedy in the 70s. And it did so in a way that was funny, yet palatable for someone who was only 7 years old when it debuted. Number 2, The Jeffersons, which is the first time I can remember seeing Black people with money on TV. Now, this show has special resonance in 2021 for me because my husband and I now live on New York City's Upper East Side like the Jeffersons in a deluxe apartment in the sky. Okay, number 1, Dorothy, jealousy is a very ugly thing. And so are you in anything backless. You guessed it, The Golden Girls. Now, it's a bit of a gay cliche to say that The Golden Girls is the best TV series ever, but it really is. First of all, there's the historical value. It was really the first show that's presented the 4 women in the big city theme that is still very popular today. Secondly, it perfectly merged great characterization, great comedy, and great acting. And for that reason, The Golden Girls is my favorite television series ever.
Strike a pose indeed, honey. Now, back in the 90s, I did a practical joke show, Think Punked, and it was with Ryan Seacrest. Please don't ask and I won't have to tell, okay? Anyway, it was Ryan Seacrest and me and Mark Summers and some other people. It was called Ultimate Revenge. Now, I remember Ryan having to leave because he had to go to a reality show audition, and the show was called American Idol. And I thought, what's new about a talent show and what's real about TV? Well, a whole lot. While reality TV has its roots in shows like Candid Camera, often dubbed the father of all reality shows, or the original Amateur Hour, which my parents watched, so did we. It was called the Trump presidency. Anyway, reality TV took off in the 90s, and while a lot of it was a hot mess about even hotter messes, honey, some was innovative. The Real World, it brought us Pedro Zamora. He was young, he was gorgeous, and he was living with HIV, not dying from it, which was huge for the time. Oh, the right made a lot of noise about that. If Madison Cawthorn had been around, he'd probably punch out a tree. Juggernauts like Survivor, Big Brother, The Great Race, those all gave way to the Kardashians. You know, I'd actually pay to watch a reality show about the Kardashians trying to survive on an island with their big brother while running a great race in heels. I'd pay for that. I would. Anyway, our next presenter has been keeping it real, whether appearing as a judge in Canada's Drag Race or in his iconic roles in various films and television, including the ambitious producer Jay in the Peabody Award-winning and Emmy-nominated Lifetime Hulu series Unreal. He is Jeffrey Bowyer-Chapman, and this fall he's going to be in a Disney Plus reboot of Doogie Kame'ealoha, MD. I'm not making that up. They're setting Doogie Howser over in Hawaii. Bowyer-Chapman will portray Charles, a good name, a Midwest transplant to Hawaii who is a fellow resident at the hospital and a positive Black gay role model for the community. My only question is NPH going to be around? Because, honey, please welcome Jeffrey Bowyer-Chapman. Hey, Jeffrey, take it away.
Thanks, Corral. One thing's for sure, you definitely know how to keep it real. I am thrilled to be here at the Dorians TV Toast 2021 and really excited to be toasting the best reality shows of the past TV season. After playing a reality TV show producer myself for 4 seasons on Unreal, I know more than most exactly what goes into the sausage to make good TV. And after the challenges of this past year, what better way to escape our own reality than by transporting ourselves into someone else's? Each of the 5 nominees for Best Reality Show took us in vibrant, human, if sometimes quirky worlds that were a kick, whether it was to see who could be the most fierce or who could concoct the best layered sherry trifle. These 5 shows definitely kept it real too. The nominees for Best Reality Show are Legendary, Nailed It, The Great British Bake Off, Queer Eye, RuPaul's Drag Race, and the Dorian for Best Reality Show goes to RuPaul's Drag Race. Congratulations to the staff, cast, and crew, and hundreds of queens sashaying across the globe.
Oh my God, thank you so much. It means the world to be here and accept this award. Thank you, Gorge. I remember when I first got onto it, drag was not the mainstream thing. And then RuPaul just came in here and literally, like I like to say it, crashed the system and was like, hi, baby, this is what we do. This is who we are. And we're making this mainstream. And now that it is literally just the best TV show to like watch and disassociate to. It's just like shiny things, beautiful people being crazy. So you can just watch it in the background. And then when you want to get into it, it is drama. It is literally individual artists that like have spent their whole lives to figure out what makes them unique and spent their whole lives and money and savings putting into this art form, and then they're showing it at the highest level on the biggest stage in the world. And so it's just so amazing to see and so amazing to watch and just like let go and forget about all your problems and worry about artists in wigs being psychos on TV. I'm the first trans man, but there was a couple of amazing trans women before me that were on. And I think I was kind of like one of the first people to just full like come on here and be like forcing it. So I think that's how it kind of stirred the pot a little more than usual. But I'm so thankful for the trans women before me that came in and opened those doors for me to be able to come in and do that. I've always loved the art form of drag, with or without my gender journey that I was on. And so being able to transition and go through what I went through and then keep my art form and realize that gender and drag are very different things. It's an art form as opposed to actually my life and who I am. So being able to just go in there and show people that and say that, you know, like, guys can be feminine, so trans men can be feminine too, and trans women can be masculine, and it's a spectrum, not black or white. And it was just insane to just come in there and shake it up like that and say, get into it, bitches. I'm someone who literally watches TV I love the drama, so I really loved anytime Candy Muse stood up and was being loud and crazy, because I just get into that. Obviously, Tamisha, same way. She is so fun because she's just a pageantry, has been in the game for so long, just so seeing such two different ends of the drag spectrum come together and give us the best TV ever. I was obsessed with watching that back. I was obsessed with just how many different types of artists there were on our season 2. I'm really like proud of the casting that happened this season, because I feel like I haven't seen this diverse of queer artists in a really long time. So it was really cool to just see everyone's different points of views on the runways and everything. I think I was really lucky to just come in here and be able to talk about my gender journey for so many episodes, because I think what I get most is that I just help people realize that, like I was saying earlier, gender is not black and white. There's a whole spectrum. So I've had amazing trans women, trans men, non-binary people that just come to me and they're like, you just helped me realize that I do not have to fit on this spectrum or fit into what society thinks I have to be. And I got to talk about that on the show. I was like, you don't have to be Barbie or Ken, even though the media wants to portray trans people as that. You have this whole middle ground. You can be whatever you want, because like, look at the cis people around you. They're being whatever they want. So trans people can do the exact same thing. Putting a bunch of drag queens in a room, it is real. You cannot make that stuff up. I think, you know, obviously, like, we're doing so many different challenges, and so they can kind of like be like, oh, this is an acting and they're going to be talking about this. But we are, for the most part, a lot of us are testosterone filled angels with corsets and very small shoes on, ready to rip our wigs off. So steam's a brewing, we're tired, and we're ready to fight most of the time. So I think most of it is very, very, very real. Thanks for having me, and thank you so much for the award.
Growing up gay in Mississippi, television had a major impact on my life, from Designing Women to The Golden Girls to Scarecrow and Mrs. King. But it wasn't until the mid-90s that a television show actually changed the course of my life. I had avoided The X-Files like the plague. An alien show on Fox? No thanks. That is until it started to win awards. So I ended up getting bootleg copies of the first 2 seasons on VHS. Now this was before binging was a thing. I watched all of it nonstop without sleep, and the very next day I marched up to the registrar and I changed my major. I knew then and there that I either wanted to write about film and television, act in it, or be behind the camera because of what I saw on The X-Files. Now, I had a shrine in college, and most of it's in storage, but I still have and will never put away my X-Files Barbie dolls. Long live the X-Files, even the 11th season.
And congratulations to RuPaul's Drag Race and all the queens, honey. There's like 1,000 of them. Every drag queen in the world has been on that show. Now it's time for the Dorian for Best TV, Movie, or Miniseries. Although in today, they're almost the same thing. Please don't act like they're not, okay? You know when you find a miniseries that you love, you just sit there and watch it for like 7 hours, like a 7-hour movie. They could have played The Queen's Gambit in theaters. People would have showed up in their Snuggies with popcorn. I am not making this up, ready to watch it all, okay? But then release a 3-hour movie. Oh, it's too long. You'll sit through 10 hours. Anyway, but made-for-TV movies, a term that the ad execs came up with in the 60s because they wanted to pull you out of the theater. Oh, it's a made-for-TV movie because somehow a made-for-TV movie was different than a made-for-theater movie? Whatever. Miniseries, that was coined in the 70s because everything went mini in the 70s, from skirts to Daisy Dukes to TV. Did I have some? I ain't telling you. Our next presenter has done it all, although I'm not sure about the Daisy Dukes. But Hollywood films, television, miniseries, she's a mega award-winning actress. Read Oscar, Emmy, Golden Globe, SAG, to drop a few names. Her father was an actor and her mother an artist in her own right, and she grew up to be Patricia Arquette, part of the Arquettes, David, and Roe, and Alexis. She's an actress at home playing a medium for 6 years on TV, and who didn't love the bedroom scenes where they would chat and the man was always in his underwear? Or a prison employee in the miniseries Escape from Dannemora. She started down the road to stardom in a Lifetime movie of all things called Wildflowers with a pre-stardom Reese Witherspoon, directed by Diane Keaton. Now, if it was on Lifetime, I can guarantee you that a man probably got killed, but it's okay because he probably deserved it. Now she's hard at work on an upcoming series, but when she's not, she stays very involved in politics and human rights. She has helped raise funds for the Alexis Arquette Foundation, set up to help others, like her sister, trans sister Alexis, who was taken too soon. Very soon. She's helped earthquake victims in Haiti, and sorry, I knew Alexis, so it was very sad. She's helped earthquake victims in Haiti, and she was involved in cancer research, and there was just an earthquake in Haiti, so I'm sure she is actively at work with that. She champions women and LGBTQ rights and does it all while being one of the best actresses around. Please welcome my new friend, Patricia Arquette.
I have some stuff to say. Okay, scripted television, like movies and miniseries, has the power to entertain, to enlighten, to enrage, or just transport the viewer to another reality. Okay, think about that. And just like scripted television, special movies and miniseries have the power to excite, to enlighten, to enrage, or just transport the viewer. Kind of like a time machine. And this last year, these programs have helped millions of people cope with these very trying times. I put that in myself, because I found it very trying this last year. The Dorian Award nominees for Best TV or Miniseries this year take us all over the world. From the suburbs of Pennsylvania to the streets of London to the chess game halls of Europe to reveal characters facing huge and compelling hurdles indeed. Let's think about it. Let's look at our nominees. I May Destroy You, HBO Max. It's a Sin, HBO Max. Mayor of Easttown, HBO Max. Small Axe, Amazon. And The Queen's Gambit, Netflix. And the winner is... I May Destroy You. Congratulations! Woo-hoo!
Oh my God, this is such an incredible honour. Thank you so much, everyone at the Dorians, for thinking of us in this category. The story was so important to us, and I think I speak on Michaela's behalf when I say that the most important thing that we wanted to achieve on the onset of Making I May Destroy You was to provide space and platform and validation to stories that have not traditionally been told on our mainstream TV screens. We feel we managed to do that with truth and honesty and, you know, a bit of joy as well. So it's a real joy to accept this honour today. Thank you so much. It means the world to us. Thank you.
Hi friends, Curtis Wong from HuffPost here. Hope you're all having a happy and healthy summer. I've been thinking a lot about TV shows that have been keeping me inspired and entertained during this challenging time, and I wanted to say that I love Victor, which is the Love, Simon spin-off series now on Hulu. I had my doubts about this show, and to be fair, its first season was kind of uneven, but by season 2, which debuted this year, I was hooked. It's very heartfelt and very well done. We get to take a look at a whole range of gay teen experiences beyond just coming out, and by the end of the final episode, we find the main character, Victor, caught in a love triangle. I can certainly relate, and to those of you who have watched it, I'm going to come right out and say I'm Team Raheem. I teared up on 3 different occasions during this season, and I really can't wait to see what's next for all of the characters. I've been really excited by a lot of young adult entertainment lately, and I found it a perfect way to escape from the harsh reality of the world, in spite of not being part of that target demographic, obviously. I think it's super exciting to see more and more shows like this that are geared towards younger viewers, where queer characters' lives are being presented in very non-issue driven ways. It would have made a huge world of difference for me as a younger viewer, so I have high hopes for its impact on Gen Z and beyond. So shout out to Love, Victor, and if you haven't checked it out, happy watching.
And congratulations to the cast and crew of the exceptional show I May Destroy You. Congrats on your Dorian. Okay, you know Las Vegas is famous for its nightlife, and that means lights, and lights flicker. Now, you ever walk by a room or a house at night and you look inside because you're nosy, and you see, you're like, oh my God, they're gonna ruin their eyes because they don't have a light on, and the room is just filling with all kinds of flickering light. It's just alive, flickering everywhere, and those flickering lights bring to life so many worlds in the TV screen for all of us. Well, that inspired me to write lyrics because, quite frankly, we have to do original songs because music for shows cost a lot of money. So I write them. And guess what? I have some really incredible friends, like Thea Austin from Snap, Rhythm is a Dancer, and about 25 other #1 hits. When I sent her the lyrics, within 2 days, she created the dance song that you're hearing in the credits and all throughout the show. Then I thought, how about a different take on the song? So I sent it to our Dorian friend, Morgan Mallory. Morgan is a pop singer. He is an award-winning musical theater performer, honey, and he's gorgeous. And he wrote one with a little different feel to it. So now, tonight, we are going to debut Morgan's version. You've been hearing Thea's version. And I gotta tell you, the video done by Brandon Riley Miller, it is gonna knock your socks off. So please welcome my very talented friend in an ode to television, Flickering Life.
Since I can remember, you've always been there. A friend in the darkness when I haven't got a prayer. You take me to places that I've never seen. You've given me hope and you've helped me to dream. Flicker. when I didn't know I was ready. You helped me find the tears. When I thought I knew everything, you showed me there was more. From the news around the block to distant shores. Flickering light, shadows and light, like a lighthouse for the soul in the darkest of nights. Big worlds are small, there's something for us all. You reflect the best of what we're meant to be. There's a piece of us in everything we see on our television screen.
More about Jocko. Where's the force worker? Got to call him. What he's talking about. All for a price that will make you. Flickering light, shadows and light, like a lighthouse for the soul in the darkest of nights. Big worlds are small, there's something for us all. You reflect the best of what we're meant to be. There's a piece of us in everything we see on our television screen.
Now it's time for the best camp TV show. Failed seriousness. That's what Susan Sontag once defined as camp. And there's been no end to the failed seriousness of the last couple of years, honey. I mean, did they really think they were being honest? I mean, come on. But Las Vegas knows a thing or two about camp, which can be fun, it can be outrageous, it can be over the top, all adjectives used to describe me at one point in my lifetime. I guess I'm camp. I mean, throw some feathers on a G-string and throw that person on stage. Let's share, and that's camp. There's all kinds of camp, and it's always been at home on TV. Whether it was the Marx Brothers yucking it up, science fiction shows where the scenery was basically cardboard that fell down, or judging a talent contest with a giant gong, which I auditioned for on roller skates, not making it up. TV loves camp, because underneath it all, camp is fun. Our next presenter has been having fun on stage, on record, and in Hollywood. Wait, is this who's here? Oh my God. When I saw her in spandex pants, I had to go buy a pair, and it changed my life and my voice when I wore them. Every weekend, I skated to Xanadu. Well, through Venice Beach. The man said it was Xanadu. I trust him. I'm not going to say what came to mind there, because I'm about to introduce someone who I have every album. Yes, I know the lyrics to Sam. You know who I am. She's a cancer survivor. She helps others. She is altruistic. She is a talented singer. She is a talented actress. She is a plant-based eater, like me. And she's Olivia Newton-John. I'm so excited. Oh, my God.
Thank you for the kind words, Carell. Yes, plant-based living is the life for me. Ha. And thank you, dear LGBT critics, for all the love and support that you've given me all these years. Now it's my treat to present the Dorian Award for Campiest TV Show. And we all love camp, don't we? After all, I was in Sharknado 5. So the nominees for the Campiest video is At Home with Amy Sedaris, Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square, WandaVision, Eurovision Song Contest, Ratchet, and the winner is, oh my goodness, well, I just have to tell you that I really placed 4th on the show back in 1974. 4th! But it was great fun. Eurovision Song Contest. Congratulations to the producers, contestants, and all the wildly colourful, super, super duper singers everywhere.
Greetings to you all from Edsilia Rombley. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to accept the Dorian Award for Campus TV Show. And yes, this year was an extra special Eurovision Song Contest in Rotterdam because of the pandemic, of course. But we couldn't have done it without the Dutch producers, NOS, NPO, and Afrotros, and the fantastic crew, and all those volunteers and the talented artists with the delegation, 39 delegations of the European Broadcasting Union. And we are so honored to be recognized by the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics. Thank you so much. We all hope to see you next year in Italy. And good luck with the American Song Contest. Bye-bye.
One of my all-time favorite shows is Quebassa Usa. It debuted in 1977 and it lasted for about 4 seasons. And it centered around the Peña family, a Cuban-American family, a family who had immigrated from Cuba to Miami. So all of a sudden, they were navigating a whole new life in the US. The show is funny, hilarious, great production, great writing, and honestly, the cast really tied everything together. To think that almost 45 years later, the show is still resonating, there's DVD still being sold, it's still being seen online, it's streaming on YouTube. It just speaks to the heart of the show, the importance of the show, and it's fascinating how it's still very socially relevant.
Who knew she placed 4th at the Eurovision Song Contest? Anybody? I'm a big fan, and I didn't. Apparently, ABBA won that year with Waterloo. If you have to lose, you might as well lose to ABBA. But speaking of Waterloos, Code Red! Code Red! The Earth is literally melting. What do you mean the virus is back, and it's worse than before? What? An insurrection? What? Members of Congress help lead it? What? Brittany can't reproduce? What? The West is out of water? What? It's burning? What? Oh my God, those are just a few of the recent current events, and I'm exhausted just reading them off. Now, TV tries to keep up with the events, and they try to keep up as they break. So much so that every 12 seconds you can turn on the TV and there's a breaking news chyron flying across the breaking news. We have breaking news about breaking news. Shows like Meet the Press or traditional news shows try to tackle the events, and late night comic or cable personalities. But it does seem that satirists are winning the day this year when it comes to the Dorian Awards, and the public alike. It seems we need a dose of comedy to take the medicine we are being fed these days. Now, our next presenter started in his home of Australia at a very young age, and his love for TV and entertainment landed him on Los Angeles at KABC Channel 7, smack dab on the red carpet, honey. He's done current affairs shows and stories, but also became the topic of one when he disclosed his HIV status in 2018, and it became a story, so he became a fierce advocate ever since, even producing his own informational segments for his platform, pluslifemedia.com. Here to present the Dorian for Best Current Affairs program, also from Australia, just like Olivia, please welcome Carl Schmid.
Thank you so much, Carell. For all the reasons you mentioned and more, I'm very pleased to be presenting our group's Dorian Award for Best Current Affairs Show. Life definitely isn't all about the red carpet, nor is it about constantly purposely scary news crawls and arguing pundits. By now it's a cliche, but who knew sharp satirists would be the ones to really know and feel what's going on in the world and even inspire us into action. funny or sad. These shows often cover poverty, election fraud, and other injustices with more depth than the average news program. The nominees for Best Current Affairs Show are Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, TBS. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, HBO. The Amber Ruffin Show, Peacock. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, CBS. Ziwe, Showtime. And the winner is Ziwe. Amazing. Congratulations to you all.
Thank you. I am so honored to be, I feel like in such great company. So thank you for taking the time and thank you for giving me this award. It's such a pleasure, honestly. So what I learned over the course of the pandemic and like the subsequent racial uprising in the last year is that we all have our set of beliefs. We all have the way we were socialized. We are all coming at race from a different vantage points. And while some people don't have the time or energy to patiently teach people, I'm really kind of curious about how we can come together and unify and really learn about other people's perspective and come to the sense that like, hey, maybe we aren't all inherently like pitchfork wielding racist, but we do have a little level of like bias that we bring to every conversation that we use to support systems that are inherently discriminatory. And our job is to unlearn that. And that is a personal journey. But my gift is that I'm an interviewer. I'm a patient person. I ask a lot of questions. And that's to the detriment of some relationships. But for this show, it's very productive. And so if I can ask questions and sort of poke holes at the ways in which we sort of display bias without realizing it, then that is something that I'm happy and willing and able to do, because I think that these conversations are productive. They're not aiming to villainize any particular person. They're aiming to show that, hey, we're none of us are perfect. And all we can do is come and be honest and be vulnerable. And then we can work together to grow. I think Oprah Winfrey is really impactful in my life, but more for her show, but more so for her as a figure, for the expectations that people ask of her, as well as what she's willing to give, as well as the sort of enterprise that she built with her magazine and with her favorite things and with her, I find her to be really quite interesting to be a Black woman in these spaces. I just find it really compelling and interesting. And I think that you see that reflected in my show, right? It sort of pays homage to like the Colberts of the world, as well as this senior Black correspondent of Oprah Winfrey, who sort of who sort of is the original influencer that we don't really discuss. So that was really impactful. But yeah, I consume so much. Like I watched Clueless as a kid. And so I was really moved by like the hyper femininity of it, as well as the idea that like Dion, the character with the braids, like she had braids. And I didn't know that was the first time I ever thought like, oh, it's cool to have braids. Like I shouldn't be embarrassed that my Nigerian parents are always trying to do my hair like that. And she was like accepted, and it wasn't really like, okay, this is the Black girl and this is why. She was just sort of like integrated into that group. I found that really interesting. But then most of all, what else did I watch? Yeah, that was really compelling for me. But yeah, I am deeply influenced by media. I'm always consuming. I watched a lot of news as a kid. So ABC World News, I'd watch every day, the local world news. And this was from like 2001 to maybe 2010 when I left home. And so that really impacted my perspective on the world and like what is objective and what's subjective. I watched a lot of television. I love that question. Absolutely. I was lucky enough to go to college, and I studied African American studies, and that was really one of the first times I was sort of encountering this like troubled history of the Black American experience in the United States. And so I don't think that you should have to spend $200,000 to understand like basic American history. And so my goal is to make all of these lessons that I learned at my very expensive schools sort of accessible to the public, but also palatable, right? Because no one wants to be taught and learned and preached at. So I like to, I think of it as like your medicine with sugar, right? So you're giving them something really thoughtful, but it's disguised. It's an illusion of humor and jokes, because that's how I process information, is through comedy. Honestly, I'm someone who likes to passively learn, so I watch a lot of documentaries, and so I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for people to just like watch my show and think, and watch my show and laugh, because those two things work in tandem. I went to college and it was Obama became president, and it was like, yes, we did it. We are succeeding. Everything is, utopia. And then, you start to realize, wait, okay, this illusion that we created was exactly that, an illusion. And so really peeling back like the rose-colored glasses was very difficult, but essential to my growth. So I want to give that to other people. I hope that I have more opportunities to give more people who have been overlooked in this industry opportunities to shine and write and perform and produce, because they have these qualifications, but because of gatekeeping or what have you, they may not have the opportunities. So I hope that I can I hope that I can help other people grow in the way that others have helped me grow.
Hi, my name is Lena Wilson. I'm a culture writer and critic for publications like The New York Times, The Playlist, and Seventh Row. And tonight I actually want to shout out an episode of television which came out very recently, but quickly became one of my favorite things I have ever seen on the small screen. So in 2020, Hulu came out with a horror anthology series called Monsterland, which is about monsters, but is mostly about the bleak nature of humanity and follows a series of people as they have to grapple with just incredibly difficult, dark, human things. And there is an episode in this series called Plainfield, Illinois, directed by Logan Kybens, which I think is just exquisite. It follows a lesbian couple played by Taylor Schilling and Roberta Colindrez as their relationship sort of devolves due to mental illness. And I think in an hour, it just so wonderfully encapsulates those issues, and it's beautifully acted, wonderfully depicted. If I could tell anybody to go watch something that they probably haven't seen right now, it would be this episode of television, with the caveat that you'll want to watch something really happy after.
We're going right in on the Ziwe. Congratulations to Ziwe and all of the people at her show for Best Current Affairs. Shanja. Now, Las Vegas has come a long way from when the only thing to do for a teenager was Circus Circus. Television was a mere teenager itself, 19, when in 1946 it started its love affair with the situation comedy, or sitcom. It was called Pinwright's Progress, which followed the misadventures of a store proprietor in the UK and was probably as funny and riveting as it sounds. In a flash, shows like The Life of Riley or stars like Jack Benny, Ask Your Parents or Grandparents, George Burns, Gracie Allen, and of course everyone's love, Lucy, made sitcoms a mainstay in the early TV days. And by the 70s, they brought social commentary. Think All in the Family or Good Times, Anytime You Make a Payment, or anything by Norman Lear, Moving On Up. And TV comedy has been from the beginning the rare place that let women rule, fierce ruling divas, honey. From Queen Lucille Ball to Marlo Thomas, That Girl, or Lily Tomlin, Mary Tyler Moore, Oh, Mr. Grant, Tina Fey, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, on and on and on. One fabulous dynamo moved from the big screen in films like Saturday Night Fever and This Is Spinal Tap to capture hearts worldwide as a nanny that would make Mary Poppins proud, child. Fran Drescher's breakthrough show, The Nanny, ran for 6 years and landed her an Emmy nomination. And the show was truly hers. She co-created it and produced it. And she did this at a time in Hollywood Hollywood when it still had issues with powerful women, and still does, ask Barbra Streisand. She would need that fighting spirit when cancer found her. But not only did she survive cancer, honey, she started the Cancer Schmancer movement to push for early detection, stronger research, and overall healthy living for all. Now, believe me, the powers that be up in Washington, they know her voice. They can hear her coming down the hall because they know she's going to want something. A longtime champion of not just women, but LGBTQ rights. You know what? She actually got ordained so she could marry 2 of her gay friends in her backyard. And when Hallmark decided to do their first queer-based rom-com, guess what? She played a mom determined to set up her son with his high school crush in Lifetime's A Christmas Setup. I would love for her to set me up. Child, please set me up. And you don't even have to marry him, just set me up. From Broadway to 2 best-selling memoirs, she's an unstoppable force of show business. Here to present Best TV Comedy, the one, the only, Fran Drescher!
Thanks, Carell. Well, it's great to be presenting at the Dorians, and thanks for the lovely intro. By the way, we're actually writing the Nanny musical for Broadway. No, I'm not going to be in it. They'd have to call it The Granny. Anyway, it's been quite the year, so thank goodness for comedies to keep our spirits up. And the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics nominee for Best TV Comedy are The Flight Attendant on HBO Max, Girls 5 Eva on Peacock, Hacks on HBO Max, Pen 15 on Hulu, and Ted Lasso on Apple TV+. Now for the winners. Ooh, and the winner is Hacks on HBO Max. Oh, congratulations, Gene Smart and the entire cast and crew. I love your show, and I can't wait for season 2. Mwah. Good health, everyone.
Thank you so much for this incredible award.
Thank you.
It's incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
We love it.
We love it.
We don't know how we're going to divide it up, but we love it.
I'll get it on weekends. And
That's
shared
right.
custody.
We'll share.
Shared custody.
This is co-parenting of an award.
It's a blended family.
It is. Thank you so much. We are so honored to have this Dorian Award for Best TV Comedy. You know, we really appreciate the show being recognized because it really does take a village, and there were so many incredible artists that worked on the show, a lot of whom are LGBTQ. And we should also say that LGBTQ critics push culture and make culture, and so it is incredibly meaningful to us that you recognize the show and responded to it.
And for all of the cast members who are queer people, to be playing queer characters at all is such a gift and a blessing, but to be recognized in this way is even more so meaningful by people in our community, and we're so grateful. We can't even express it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Whenever we talk about shows that enrich our lives or are life-changing, 2 come to mind. We've got Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is my all-time favorite show. It came to me at a time in my life when I was just starting college and sort of discovering who I was as a queer person in the South. Not the easiest thing. I wouldn't recommend it for a lot of people, but this show absolutely helped me get through it. The strong female characters, the complex storytelling, Willow's coming out story was tremendous at the time, especially for mainstream television. I still binge watch that show to this day. I recommend it to anybody who has never seen it. Another show, a more modern favorite show, is Netflix's Sense8. Really good, so much diversity. It celebrates everyone's differences, whether it's religious beliefs, gender identity, sexual orientation, and celebrates it. It, makes you feel like that part of you is what makes you special, what makes you beautiful. And it also reminds us that we're all connected no matter how different we are on the outside.
This megaphone is my award from Planned Parenthood for being a woman's advocate. It really is. This megaphone is my award from Planned Parenthood for being a woman's advocate, and I love it. I mean, who doesn't love an award? Long before most of you or even myself were born, TV was congratulating itself on a job well done. Now, the first Emmys were held back in 1949. Suddenly, TV personalities had a place to go and eat bad food and get dressed up in the middle of the day and not be able to pee for 12 hours. But they got a trophy out of it. And we, the audience, loved it. FYI, tickets to the first Emmys were $5. Now they're about 1,000. The most outstanding television performer at the first ones in 1949 was San Francisco ventriloquist Shirley Dinsdale and her puppet sidekick Judy Splinters. God bless Judy Splinters. But Splinters? Sounds uncomfortable for them both. There used to be snobbery among TV performers and film performers. Most movie and stage actors would not appear on the little screen early on. But that changed with budgets, honey, and paychecks, okay? Today, there are more great roles on TV than ever before. Our next presenter took the A-Train to stardom last year thanks to her groundbreaking role in Big Sky from ABC. From legendary David E. Kelley, oh my God. She plays a non-binary trans feminine sex worker and a singer who helps out Ryan Felipe, something I would do in a flash. Apparently making her the first non-binary actor to play a non-binary main character on a primetime series. So kudos and bravo and keep it coming, television. As for the number one question she gets, the answer is yes. She is related to the great character actor Harvey Keitel of Pulp Fiction fame. So please, to present the Dorian for Best TV Performance, welcome James Keitel, honey.
Thanks, Carell. I'm not sure if it's the number one thing people ask me, but greetings from sunny New Mexico, where we are here filming season 2 of Big Sky, where, as you said, I play a former sex worker and aspiring singer who, against all odds, becomes a private detective working alongside the women who saved her. We all have our favorite TV stars who we feel are so good at playing a character that they must be that character. For me, those actors who've captivated me on TV in recent memory are Cate Blanchett in Mrs. America, Daniela Santiago in Veneno, and the pandemic favorite, Body Movin' in Don't Fuck with Cats, even if it was a documentary. So I certainly don't envy the members of the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment in having to each pick their number one favorite performance of the past TV season. There have been so many incredible turns from a variety of performers in shows across many platforms. That said, the nominees for the Dorian Award for Best TV Performance are Michaela Jaé, I May Destroy You; Kaylee Cuoco, The Flight Attendant; Thuso Mbidu, The Underground Railroad; Elizabeth Olsen, WandaVision; Billy Porter, Pose; MJ Rodriguez, Pose; Jean Smart, Hacks; Jason Sudeikis, Ted Lasso; Anya Taylor-Joy, The Queen's Gambit; and Kate Winslet for The Mayor of Easttown. And the winner is... Well, with a list like that, how could we not have a tie? The Dorian Award for Best TV Performance goes to Michaela Jaé for I May Destroy You and Jean Smart for Hacks.
Thank you to Gallica. I am very honored for this Dorian Award, and I hope it indeed is like the portrait of Dorian Gray, and I'm going to lock it away in my safe. I'm also very honored to be tied in this category with the amazing Michaela Cole. You know, a lot of strides have been made in our industry for the LGBTQ plus community, mostly because of the personal bravery of a lot of individuals, but we still have a long way to go. But I'm very glad that the show has been honored by Gallica, and I'm very pleased because I'm very proud of the show. It's been a joy to work on. I have to thank my amazing castmates, particularly Hannah Einbinder. And also I want to thank the writers and creators, producers of the show, Lucia Agnello, Jen Statsky, and Paul Downs. I owe you everything. But again, Gallica, thank you so much for honoring the show. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Randy Slovacek, longtime contributor to Instinct Magazine and the writer and editor of therandyreport.com. When I think of TV shows that impacted my life, I immediately flash back to the late 1970s, 1977 to be exact, and the premiere of the hit ABC sitcom Soap. Now, even though I was a young teen and not quite sure of who I was yet, if you know what I mean, and I think you do, I knew that I was connecting with a certain character on this show, and that character was Jody Dallas, brilliantly played by Billy Crystal. Now, for the first time, this was an openly gay series regular who, instead of being the butt of every joke, or to use a word that was popular back in the day, flamboyant, Jody was smart and centered and grounded and funny. As a matter of fact, instead of being the butt of every joke, he was the one usually landing the punchline on his way out the door. Over its 4 seasons, Soap clearly laid the way for other trailblazing sitcoms that would feature queer characters and storylines like Showtime's Brothers, Modern Family, Will and Grace, and Ellen, just to name a few. Which brings us to today. Now, even though my pre-gay mind didn't understand what I was seeing, I knew I was connecting to it, and America was connecting to it. And that's a powerful thing. It's not only the power of storytelling, it's the power of television.
All right, there's an often misquoted quote by author Thomas Gray. It says, "Ignorance is bliss." Now, most people think it means that being stupid makes you happy, which explains a lot. But they never see the end of the quote. Where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise. Now, our patron, Oscar Wilde, was wit, literally. He personified witty. And like in his world, in today's world, it can be maddening to have a brain and be able to critically think. But our next category is for those that not only have one, but think and do it with class and a dash of sass and snark and a large dose of humor. It's the Wild Wit Award, and this is where the sharpest and often funniest tongue wins. To tell you who takes the Dorian this year is quite a wit herself. She's the first lesbian of color. That's right, a black lesbian, so she's got it really hard in America, honey. She's the first one to be a cast member of SNL, a fabulous Louisiana girl who became a stand-up comic like Ellen DeGeneres. She's also guested on the Dorian-nominated A Black Lady sketch show, and as a sergeant in space alongside Steve Kornacki, who has a name like me, in the sitcom Space Force. And as witty as she is, she must know how to shut the hell up because she's been with her partner for 20 years, and that takes some doing, okay? She's also a nominee as she sang, danced, and poked fun at other lesbians in the show's Pride Month video, which we all watched and loved, right? It landed her and her castmates a Dorian nom for Best TV Musical Performance of the Year. Wow, she's all over the Dorians, ain't she? She also slays it on the show as a certain woman named Pineapple who suffers stripper brain. Don't we all? Give me a poll. Please welcome Punky Johnson. Hey, Punky.
Hey, thank you so much, Corral. Family, yo, it is so great to be presenting the Wild Wit Award at this year's Dorians TV Toast. Yo, TV has always been a big go-to for laughs for me. And for inspiration, when it comes down to comedy, I love Samore, Monique, Ellen DeGeneres, Cat Williams, Richard Pryor, Dave Chappelle, Martin, yo, the list go on. Because they all my heroes. And not just for making me laugh, for making me go, wow, that's so true. or even make me process this crazy life. Look, side note, when I was young, I used to stay up late and watch comedy on BET, and I had this mad crush on Montana Taylor. Dang, she was fine, bro. She made funny, so sexy. Anyway, I'm sorry, as I digress. Oscar Wilde was the definition of wit. Literally, I looked it up and there was just this little Oscar emoji next to the word wit. I'm just playing. But there should be though. If he were alive today, he'd probably be one of the highest paid writers in late night. But his spirit lives on. And just like Oscar, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics nominees for Wild Wit definitely both challenge and amuse. And they are Michaela Cole, Catherine Hahn, Fran Lebowitz, Randy Rainbow, and my SNL castmate Bowen Yang. And the winner is, wait, hold on, it's a tie, yo. What? This is so Barbara Streisand and Katharine Hepburn at the Academy Awards. Look it up. Okay, anyway. The winners are Michaela Cole and Bowen Yang. Congratulations, y'all. Amazing job. Congratulations to Michaela and my guy, Bowen.
Thank you, Corel, and thank you to everyone at Galaga. Here it is. I got it on my little easel. This is so cute. I think he would be someone in the writer's room who, you know, is a little too cool for it. And there's always one person in every writer's room, like someone who's just like, and everyone knows that everyone's like, that person's too stylish or too, I don't know, just probably too cool to be here. I'm looking at my, it's a framed cover of a Dorian Gray, like sort of book, like a big book. And it says a young man of extraordinary personal beauty. It's on my wall. It's a line from the book and it's a withering page. And so this feels too on the nose for me. Sorry, I was not aware. Everyone who goes through that show in any position, whether they're a writer or a cast member, or they work in costumes or hair, I mean, everyone is going through their own personal sort of trial by fire there. I feel like I've been very lucky in my time there already, and I don't necessarily walk in feeling any sort of, you know, just weird feeling to like deliver something specific. So no, I don't necessarily feel that anymore. Maybe at first I did, but it's gotten better. You know, I think that just speaks to the way that like society has developed along their thinking of pride. And now there are things about pride that everybody in the country can recognize. And that's probably the reason why I was able to get on the show, is that, well, now everyone, and you know, pride is a pretty ubiquitous thing in the country. Like these events are, there are events that are themes no matter where you go in the country at their pride events. And so that's probably why it was on the show too. A good deal of leeway if they let me do that, because I mean, I went into that with one of the co-head writers, Anna Dresden. It was her idea, and we both went into it being like, I don't know why they are allowing us to do this. And we still, in like our post-mortem of it, she says the only reason it didn't go to air is because they let it go to air. I mean, like, you know, I think there's no like there's no way to explain it. And so therefore it becomes this like paradoxical thing of like, it didn't go to air. Like it went to air because it didn't not go to air. You know, it's like, there's no, it's the snake is eating its own tail there for the logic of how it happened. And so I'm just happy it did. Absolutely. It's even, you know, crossed out of optimism. I think I'm just seeing it sort of play out in the world, specifically in comedy or in TV. I mean, there's just a lot of great people doing great things, and it makes me excited, and it makes me very, very pleased to just be hopefully like a part of it in that community of output and that work. It was a very big part of my life, especially, you know, moving from, you know, French Canada to the US and speaking French better than I spoke English. I mean, TV was my way of like culturally picking up on things. When I moved to the US, SNL was one of those things where every week I got this like condensed primer on what was going on in the country and what was funny in pop culture at the time. And so, it was very helpful. I mean, it was very much a part of my life. It was what I did to like connect with the world. Yeah.
It happens to me all the time. I'll be raving about a show I'm watching, like Solos on Amazon Prime, and people then be looking at me like I'm speaking Klingon. I'm like, oh no, it's really better. And they're like, no, I never. We all have the TV gems we find and we love, but they don't quite seem to catch on at first. Some go on to be huge hits, and others remain little gems, and of course, some are canceled far too soon. Great stuff can get lost in a sea of about 500 scripted shows a year. 500. So what's a girl got to do to get noticed? That's why the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics has an award for Best Unsung TV Show. Throughout TV's history, some of the greatest shows were with Fringe at first. Speaking of which, I loved Fringe. Who didn't love Fringe? Back in the 60s, Star Trek famously barely hung on in the ratings for 3 years. Fans kept writing letters to keep it alive, and Lucille Ball liked it, and her production company kept it going. Schitt's Creek was up a creek for its first season, which our group did name Best Unsung Show of that year, by the way. Difficult People, Getting On, The Good Fight, Happy Ending. They're all shows that needed a little champion, and we did it, before people really discovered them. Now, presenting our Best Unsung TV Show is a star who's been lucky to act, to sing. He's in all kinds of hits. He is Eddie in Good Vibrations on Broadway. He was the Wiz's mean old lion, say what you wanna. I'm here to stay because I'm a mean old lion. He was even Sebastian in The Little Mermaid. But most fell in love with him in the Dorian Award-winning role as Titus Andromedon in the hit sitcom, The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. He is a force of nature, honey. And if anyone can sing the praises of the shows you may have missed, it is Tituss Burgess. Take it away, Titus.
Thank you, Corral. I'm so excited I get to present the Dorian Award for Best Unsung TV Show. I love rooting for an underdog, and in some ways, I still feel like the underdog. When I was younger, I'll never forget, there was this one TV show that I was like, why is no one watching this show? It was called Small Wonder. And the lead would just sort of put her fingers together, and magic would happen. Time would stop, and whatever else she wanted to occur. And I thought to myself, even at that age, if only. Anyway, the Best Unsung TV Show Award brings new meaning to, hey, get with the program and watch this stuff. Come on, y'all. So, the nominees are A Black Lady Sketch Show, HBO. Girls Five Eva, Peacock. Love Victor, Disney Plus. Search Party, HBO Max. Veneno, HBO Max. We Are Who We Are, HBO Max. And now, the winner of the Dorian Award for Best Unsung TV Show goes to Love Victor. Congratulations to all involved, and I believe we have some cast members here to accept the award. Mwah, congratulations.
Oh my gosh, guys, thank you so much. This literally means the world to me and the rest of the crew. Obviously, I'm just a mere representation of all of the talent that is on this show. They are all so incredible and amazing. But honestly, I honestly don't know how we got such an amazing cast and crew together. It's been such a blessing, and just to be part of something that actually is making a difference. You know, these people have poured their hearts and souls into this project to really try to make it something that will change young kids' lives, adults' lives, like parents' lives. You know, I hope that this show educates people on what it's like to be part of the LGBT community and what it's like to be in the mind of a child, and a child to be in the mind of a parent, and just kind of understand if your parent is not the most understanding or accepting yet, there's still a light at the end of the tunnel, and just to understand that sometimes people need time to work through the pre-programming. And with that being said, I just obviously wanted to say thank you all so much for being huge supporters of the show, and also just thank you guys for allowing this to be a safe space. You know, I think that we are definitely in a time where we are working so hard to just make more spaces safe for the LGBT community, for people of color like myself, for Black people. And I think that if we just continue to work hard and you know, make a difference, and also just be a voice that doesn't judge but educates. And I think that that's an important thing, and if we keep working hard and making that happen, I think that the world will change very, very soon. Obviously, it's been changing, but we still have so much work to go. But thank you guys so much, and I appreciate it.
In this town, everyone's got a system for winning. They know the odds, they know the numbers, they know the game, they know what table, they know what machine. They're called suckers. Anyway, we gave away 3 Dorian Awards prior to the show and wanted to take a moment and let you know who won Best Musical Performance, Best Supporting TV Performance, and Most Visually Striking TV Show. We asked our friends at MSNBC for Steve Kornacki. He's gay, he's fabulous, he's good with numbers, he's good at odds and calling and revealing winners. But he was busy recovering from exhaustion from the Olympics board. I'm sure he had trouble just keeping up all the gay people there this year, which was fabulous. When actor and comic John Lehrer heard the news that we didn't get Kornacki, he decided to save the day by channeling Kornacki's spirit. John has had several shows on TV and web, including 10 Items or Less and Quick Draw, both unsung comedies. And some may remember him as the original Geico caveman. Yep, he was one of them. He is advertising royalty. A writer, producer, actor, and comic. Let's go to Steve Kornacki, or is it Steve Kornacki or John Kornacki or Steve? Oh, whatever. Let's see who won the Dorians. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. Steve Kornacki, which rhymes with khaki, which is what I'm wearing. And I know what you're saying. Steve, your hair's so long, you just did the Olympics. What happened? We shot the Olympics years ago. And by the way, we never landed on the moon either. This is my pandemic hair. My daughter loves it, so I'm keeping it. We have a lot of landslides to report to you. All the votes are coming in on the Survey Monkey, and we're tallying them as fast as we can, and we have some stuff to report to you. So we're gonna go to the big board here. It's the medium board. It looks like we can call the most visually striking show category. The nominees are Bridgerton, it's about a bridge. The Crown, we all saw the real thing, but now we want to see it again with actors playing everybody. I don't understand. Lovecraft Country, have you seen the billboard with the octopus behind him? It's so scary. I see it every day on my way into MSNBC. By the way, Rachel, not the best sense of humor on 2 legs. Then we have Pose. That's the show. Small Acts, originally, interestingly enough, called Big Acts, but it didn't test well. Then we have The Mandalorian. My God, Baby Yoda, he's so cute. Every time I see him, what just happened to Mandalorian? I don't know. I'm watching Baby Yoda. Okay, and finally we have WandaVision by a small, upstart, independent studio called Marvel. It takes place over the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Thank God not the early 90s, because that's when Steve-O here was having a very difficult time, if you know what I'm saying. All right, the winner is, okay, it's WandaVision! Yeah, couldn't have predicted that. It's not like that show is being rammed down our throats at every corner. What? Did Steve just say that, or did I think it? All right, here we go. Another update. This is Best TV Musical Performance. And the nominees are Lady Gaga for singing the Star-Spangled Banner at the Biden-Harris inauguration. By the way, FYI, you know that brood she had of a bird? Actual bird stapled to her chest. It was a dove. Then we have Jonathan Groff singing You'll Be Back from Hamilton. If you haven't heard the song, just come hang out in the backseat of my car with my kids as I drive them to school because they've been singing it for 6 years. Okay, next up we have Catherine Hahn, her Kooky TV theme spoof, Agatha All Along from WandaVision. And then Elton John and Years for singing the song to It's a Sin. What's a sin? Watch the show to find out. By the way, Elton John, one note, little sweaty, powder it up. You know, a lot. Okay, and then we have Punky Johnson, cousin to Punky Brewster, Anya Taylor-Joy, Lil Nas X. By the way, my pen name is Lil Nas 9. Kate McKinnon, Bowen Yang, all singing the Pride Month song on Saturday Night Live. And my God, that's like a queer version of the Squad. AOC should be campaigning for them. Am I still here? Where's my Ritalin? Just grind it up. I'll sprinkle it in my eye. All right, one more nominee, Bowen Yang, again, for singing a song called Loverboy as the iceberg that sank the Titanic on SNL. Hey, I'm taken, Bowen, and I don't do threesomes. Yes, I do. Okay, let's kick the Dominion voting machine here, tally it up. With all the votes, 100% of the votes reporting, it is Catherine Hahn for Agatha All Along. I know Catherine, wonderful person and mother. Our kids go to the same school. Congratulations, Catherine. Okay, could I get some Gatorade? Is anybody here? Where is everybody? All right, here we go. The 10 nominees. God, can we pare it down? 10 nominees for Best Supporting TV Performance. It's like the New Hampshire primaries over here. Political joke. I'm wearing khaki and nothing. Okay, first up we have Gillian Anderson from The Crown. I didn't know she was in that. Isn't she on the X-Files? Can she do 2 shows? John Boyega from Small Axe. Paapa Essiedu from I May Destroy You. Catherine Hahn for WandaVision. Will WandaVision take the hat trick? We shall see. Mariel Heller, The Queen's Gambit. Callum Scott Howells, It's a Sin. Dominique Jackson for Pose. Okay. Julianne Nicholson, Mayor of Easttown. It's about a horse. That's what a mayor is. Then we have Jean Smart from Mayor of Easttown. Another show about a horse. And Bowen Yang, handsome Bowen Yang from Saturday Night Live. And Jim Belushi from According to Jim. Just kidding about that last one. I'm managing him as a side gig, having a lot of trouble. If anybody is having a bar mitzvah and wants Jim Belushi to come over, we will. He's Jewish, I swear. Okay, yes, we can call it. Oh my God, the winner is Catherine Hahn. WandaVision sweeps all 3 categories. Congratulations, Catherine. Congratulations, WandaVision. Congratulations, Disney, for controlling all of our lives. And now, back to you, Cyber Ninjas. Take it from here.
You know, we all love a good documentary. We can't seem to get enough of them. Did you see the one about the killer whales? Did you see the one about the ocean and how we're killing it? Did you see the one about the murder of this person or that person? Did you see the unsolved case of this? We love documentaries, all right? And we've been loving them since 1922. That's when the film Nanook of the North, which is generally considered the world's first documentary, made its debut. Now, documentaries are well suited for television, partially in their rise in the 1940s because of war. The culture was evolving. There was a new medium, television. It was growing. And now we're just as messed up as we were back then. And we have more cameras. Now, I've lived my life, so I'm not sure I'd want to see a documentary about myself. Would you guys? I don't know. I don't even know what they'd rate it. Is there something above X? It'd be quite a show. During the pandemic, documentaries enjoyed another resurgence, all right? They really did. With streaming making them available and viewership of documentary films, the series went up over 250%, according to industry reports. Now, documentaries can bring new people into our world, like the one Big Frida Bounces Back, honey. For 6 seasons, that documentary introduced us to a booming music career of a New Orleans rapper and singer and activist by the name of Big Frida. Now, documentaries can show us lives that we don't normally live, like Big Frida's 2020 documentary about gun violence in New Orleans, Frida's Got a Gun, which showed how the city's gun violence issue actually led to her brother's murder. In fact, Frida is so involved in documentaries, either as a subject or as a filmmaker, we thought she would be perfect to present the Dorian for Best TV Documentary. Please welcome Big Frida.
Thanks, Pharrell. Yes, I have been the subject of documentary series. I also commented on documentaries about music history and LGBTQ rights. As you noted, I have produced my own documentary about the senseless gun violence we face here in New Orleans. Needless to say, I think documentaries are very, very important. It's cool to see how many networks and platforms are doing more in-depth looks at our world. It makes me feel aware, connected, and alive. They all provide a balance to all the Hollywood fantastical made-up stuff. In the flood of new TV documentaries and docu-shows this past season, 5 stood out to the Dorian voters. New York Times presents Framing Britney Spears, FX. I'll Be Gone in the Dark, HBO. Pretending to City, Netflix. Antina, HBO. And the winner is Framing Britney Spears. Accepting this award is Samantha Stark, the documentary's director and producer.
Thank you. So thrilled. So I work for the New York Times and we have this series and we work collaboratively with a lot of people in the newsroom. So it was actually Liz Day's idea. She appears in the film. And the original idea was to look back at media coverage of Britney Spears, you know, post Me Too, and see how outrageous and misogynistic it was. And so I wanted to do that because that spoke to me. And then when we started researching for the film, we realized she was in this conservatorship. And then, you know, it just went from there. I went to, the first thing that I did was I wanted to know why people loved Britney Spears. So I think actually my perspective of coming at it fresh really helped, because there were so many, you know, there's this narrative of her for years, like Britney went crazy and she needs protection and she's totally happy with this conservatorship. It's fine. And I started talking to the fans and that changed so much. Do you want to hear about that? So I started, you know, speaking with a lot of the people who were leading the protests outside the courthouse, the Free Britney movement. And so many people just wrote them off as conspiracy theorists and made fun of them in a similar way that people made fun of Britney and wrote her off, actually. But when I started talking to people and going outside the courthouse, I realized that they were people who were totally different than who I thought it was going to be. I thought maybe it would be people who looked like Britney Spears or, you know, teenagers or something. And it was actually this whole group of queer people who were bullied as kids, people living with mental illness. And it was like so surprising to me because it was actually like, you know, Britney was bullied for her sexuality as a young person and told who she had to be all the time, over and over again, bullied and humiliated for mental health issues. And so many queer people have the same experience, right? We were humiliated and shamed as teenagers for our sexuality. And, you know, a lot of us have mental health issues because of that, or not because of that, substance abuse issues. And it was like really beautiful to see all these people coming out and saying, wait a minute, Britney shouldn't be locked up in this situation. She shouldn't have all of her rights taken away. And they really had this gut feeling, because it was before all these court filings started coming out and before we knew Britney really wanted out of this. And they just had this, feeling in their heart, like, this is wrong. I have to do something about it. When we first started researching this, I realized like so many people who wrote about Britney and made films and TV specials about Britney were men. Like everybody was a man, it seemed like, almost everybody. And I also realized that the main people who were often interviewed about her were men as well. And so one of the first things that we wanted to do was just say, what would happen if we made this from a woman's perspective? What would happen if the decision makers were women, the crew were women, and the people we interviewed were women? And that simple choice, I think, like totally revolutionized the film, because it was hard to find women at first. We had a spreadsheet of over 1,000 names. So many people were scared to talk about Britney. And so many of the like main executives at the music industry and stuff like that were men. But once we started finding the women to talk to, the entire perspective, our entire perspective, and the entire perspective of the film on Britney Spears changed. It was really valuable to look at all this past media coverage of her ever since she was a teenager and came out, and how paternalistic it was and misogynistic. It was totally okay to humiliate her. It was totally okay to treat her as dumb and somebody who didn't have real things to say. There was this trend that went on looking at all the footage where, even very prominent news people like Diane Sawyer and Matt Lauer, they would take these humiliating headlines of Britney. Britney Spears is a bad mom. Britney Spears is crazy. And they would put them on these giant screens and have her respond to them. I feel like that wouldn't happen to a man. And I also feel like since it was okay to treat her that way and belittle her and not listen to what she was saying, I feel like it made it okay for the conservatorship not to be questioned. This idea that her dad needed to take care of her. There was a post posted to Britney's Instagram. I always say, like, in a statement posted to Britney's Instagram, because it's very unlikely that Britney totally controls her Instagram. She has been kept in this bubble for 13 years where she is legally by the court her conservators are allowed to stop every communication she has with every person except for this one court appointed attorney who recently resigned. So to me, that it would be unlikely if she had a bullhorn to the world with her Instagram. But, even if she did write this, the caption said, I don't like the way the documentary portrayed me. I don't want to bring up this humiliation again. And I understand that. We had a lot of back and forth about the ethical issues of showing all this stuff and re-traumatizing Britney. I was thinking about how we could re-traumatize Britney as little as possible, actually, when we were making this, and her family. We wanted to reframe these pictures. Everyone always, it's like burned in the subconscious of the world, right? So I did a survey of everybody I knew and said, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Britney Spears? And almost everybody said when she shaved her head. And so it really felt like we had to show that and give context to it, because that's what we could do as the New York Times that no one had done. Like, people just thought, Britney went crazy. She can't make her own decisions. But we're saying she was going through this custody battle. Her mom says she thinks she was suffering from postpartum depression. She was literally having men stalk her everywhere she went. She was trapped in her home, and she had people humiliating her and framing her in this way that everybody believed. And so I think it was really important for the world to see those images and to reframe them. We had hours and hours and hours and hours of footage of people humiliating Britney Spears. And so we tried to pick, the few examples that were the most representative so that we could reframe them. I guess if Britney does feel that way, I understand, because why do you want to look at humiliating things about yourself? Originally, it was supposed to be like 40 or 30 minutes. So it was a surprise that it turned into a feature. Thank you.
Even here in Vegas, there was a time when all of this would have made a stir on TV. In fact, I made quite a stir on radio in the 1990s as part of the first openly gay couple with my late partner, Andrew Howard. He passed away in 2001. Miss him every day. We hosted a drive time radio show on KFI AM 640. It took radio until the 90s to do that, but not TV. In 1939 on BBC One, Douglas Bring became the first female impersonator on UK television. Queer Plus characters began appearing in the US in the 50s on Ernie Kovacs and Steve Allen shows, but they were mostly stereotypes or caricatures other than really real people. Finally, in the 1970s, right in front of my eyes, I watched as Norman Lear presented the LGBTQ character on many of his shows, and then, of course, Billy Crystal as the out and not that proud Jody Dallas on the hit 70s sitcom Soap. Changed my life. To really get the party going, he really did when it came to getting gay characters on TV. In the 80s, shows like Roseanne and The Kids in the Hall helped open closet doors in Hollywood wider, and by the 1990s, it seemed like every show, from My Little Dancing Babies on Ally McBeal to Sybil to Friends, peppered their plots with LGBTQ characters. And then, of course, Will and Grace, Queer as Folk, Glee, Modern Family. That doesn't mean that in 2021 that the LGBTQ, Latinx, Black, Asian, and other cultures are all fairly represented on TV equally with depth and with meaning and all of that, but we are making headway. For instance, when the Dorians began over a decade ago, there weren't many shows to pick from for the first LGBTQ show category, which brings us to this year's Dorian for the best LGBTQ show. One of the most groundbreaking series for and from the community was The L Word. It came to TV during the LGBTQ coming of age, and it hit all the right notes to make it a huge international success. The top billed star of the very first lesbian drama series on TV was a movie icon. At age 18, as a competitive dancer in Flashdance, she made us all want to get in a chair and douse ourselves with water and rip a t-shirt. What a feeling! Oh, come on, you haven't? She now stars in and co-produces Showtime's sequel, The L Word, Generation Q. And behind the camera, she's a huge champion of women's rights and LGBTQ rights via the Human Rights Campaign, the Matthew Shepard Foundation, on and on and on. Please welcome the ever-alluring, the ever-fabulous Jennifer Beals, here to help show how far we've come with LGBTQ programming. Come on, Jennifer, what a feeling!
Thanks, Carell. Much like women's roles on TV have grown over the years, roles and shows about, with, and from LGBTQ people are more important than ever, for so many obvious reasons. That's why I am thrilled to be presenting the Dorian for Best LGBTQ TV Show. It just so happens these 5 nominees aren't just great LGBTQ TV, they're great television, period. They are I May Destroy You, from series creator and writer and extraordinary star, Michaela Kroll. Set in London, this laugh and cry comical drama is filled with dynamic characters hoping to learn and rise from experience. It's a Sin, from Queer as Folk mastermind Russell T Davies, about a group of friends in the 1980s facing the AIDS crisis, holding on to each other for dear life. Love, Victor, the rare and poignant and sweet and funny coming-of-age drama about a gay high school kid. Pose, the drama that brought 80s New York ball life to life and gave trans, gay, bi, and non-binary characters revolutionary depth. And Veneno, a vivid docudrama about the life of La Veneno, an enigmatic trans singer and TV personality who became one of Spain's greatest LGBTQ icons. And the Dorian for Best LGBTQ Show goes to It's a Sin, accepting its creator Russell T Davies. Congratulations.
Hooray! Thank you very much, and thank you for this beautiful award. There it is. It's really beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm delighted and honoured. Thank you. I think it's needed always. We've had the wonderful Pose, which has been telling the story from New York's point of view for the past 2 years. And I hope in 2 years' time we'll have a new show and different shows. It's kind of like, I think we're going through a generational change where there are young queer people running around who didn't know that this happened. And straight people, everyone should know that this happened. And I think some of the memories are dying as a generation passes, and it's important to revive that and to say what happened to us. Our struggle is everyone's struggle. So I'm one of many, many writers who has been picking up this torch, and many, many more to come, I think. Thank you. Most generations, it's the nature of the human race not to look back. We just don't. We look forwards. And in fairness to that generation, they're finding brand new battles, which are equally important. You know, when you talk about people dying and being abused and being mistreated by the government and mistreated by society, that's the trans battle now. That's the people have blood on their hands in that battle. And I'm inspired by the way the younger generation is picking that up. So, you know, then the next generation after that will find its own causes, and that's a wonderful thing. Nonetheless, of course, I agree with you. We are our history, and in transmitting it as in the reaction of that younger generation was astonishing and gorgeous. I hesitate to use that word over such a serious subject, but actually young people were angry, they were fascinated, they went and I love the fact television makers and filmmakers always complain about the fact that a young generation sits watching television with a phone in their hand, but actually sometimes that works. Sometimes it's like, as topics were going out on air, they were as subjects were cropping up, and it's a sin on air, they were cropping up on Google searches. It was happening. You could literally see the physical evidence of people searching symptoms, tests, results, histories. So actually that phone in the hand, which is supposed to be the dramatist's enemy, is a very great thing, I think. So let's not write off the young. I mean, I think young people today are more politically engaged. They have to be in a world that is burning around our ears, but they are more politically engaged than our lot ever were. So fair dues. I think the story of the human race is our battle with our own intelligence and our refusal to we're capable of such great beauty and such great skill and such enormous intelligence. Our creations in mathematics and science and art are phenomenal, and yet we can be so fundamentally thick at the same time. I mean, there's one great virus sitting there ready to explode again, and that's the Trump virus. There's no end to that one, and I'm absolutely terrified. We can sit here now and confidently predict what might likely happen in 2024. That's more terrifying than anything, and it's very likely to happen. So good Lord, when this planet is a smoking cinder and someone comes to write our history, then my goodness, they'll find a very fascinating and strange species. But that is not to let's think of, you know, what I love about the fact that when the HIV virus came along and the governments ignored it and the media ignored it and society ignored it, and it was queer people and their allies, and their straight allies as well, who mobilized in secret, in cellars, in lecture halls, in houses, and they mobilized and they fought to raise the money, they fought to change the science. So there is always hope. There was always activism, there must be activism, and there is always then hope. Yes, of course, I think that's compulsory, absolutely. There's also a very old 1930s song, which my Auntie Maureen used to get drunk. She was a Hitchcock blonde, my Auntie Maureen. She'd get drunk at Christmas, lean on the grand piano. She had a grand piano. And she would sing, "It's a Sin to Tell a Lie." It's an old, old song that's that's very interesting. It was easier to get Queer as Folk made because it was 1999. It was, and it was made for a channel in Britain called Channel 4, which also made It's a Sin, a channel which, by the way, the government is about to sell off, of course, because they're venal idiots. But they think the channel is a voice against their power, against their conservative power, so they're getting rid of it. In 1999, that channel, which was created to air alternative and diverse voices was hungry for a drama like that. I've got to be honest, in 2019, when I was selling this show around the place, one television executive said, rolled their eyes and said, oh, that miserable age drama. And also, I get very embarrassed about sitting here saying thank you and hooray and holding this up when I'm standing on the shoulders of 1,000 people, that entire cast who were magnificent, that entirely queer cast, every queer part played by a queer actor, and plenty of straight parts played by queer actors as well. I love that. And, and all the technicians, the director was a gay man, the producer's a gay man. But never mind that, their expertise, their skill. I'm the lucky one who gets to stand here and hold this, but I do this on behalf of all of them, and they all, I know, would say thank you.
Wow, Russell, Nicola, Peter, everyone on the It's a Sin team, what a fabulous moment, and thank you to Dorian and everybody. This is a great thing, and we're very happy, and gosh, I'm proud to be involved, even in the smallest way, in this amazing production. Lots of love.
I think what made It's a Sin so special is the writing. The writing was all just there. It was all handed to us in this beautiful, beautiful script about a group of young people who just love each other so much and who support each other and find the joy in times of devastation. And that's incredibly human, I think. And I think that the amount of love that was on set as well. I mean, filming it was just incredible because there was so much affection and respect and warmth, and it was just the most incredible time, and I think that it really, really shows.
Hello! Russell, I have loved you for so many years. You have been a massive part of me growing up, watching television. Doctor Who was... It basically formed my childhood, and then growing up to watch Years and Years, which was amazing, and then to be part of one of your shows, It's a Sin, was a pleasure enough, let alone to be part of something that has been so powerful and important and incredible. I feel not only honoured, I feel so proud to know you and to now be able to call you a friend. You're incredible, and I have so much love for you. This is just amazing, and you deserve it so much. You are the best. I adore you. I love you. I love you. Sending a big touch and loads of love. I love the It's a Sin family, and I love you. We all love you.
Each year, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics gives out a Trailblazer Award. Now, this is an award that they give to somebody who is making inroads for the LGBTQ community, Latinx, African American, or any other minority or underserved community in television. And this year, we have quite a winner, honey. I already know who it is. I'm so excited. Here to present that award is board member Tarek Raouf. So please welcome Tarek as he presents our Trailblazer Award.
Hey, everyone. My name is Tarek Raouf, Outreach Director and proud member of Gallica. I am honored to present the LGBTQIA Trailblazer Award to a spectacular and very well-deserving recipient. The Trailblazer Award is a special accolade, one that recognizes people who have managed to forge paths to success no one has ever walked before. They create art that inspires empathy, truth, and equity, and give us hope for a new generation to walk the very same path. On behalf of everyone at Gallica, I am proud to present this year's award to the brilliant, the beautiful, and the poised Michaela Jaé Rodriguez. She captured our hearts 3 years ago with her role as Blanca Evangelista on Pose, and now she's rightfully been nominated for an Emmy, making her the first ever trans woman up for a leading acting category. A trailblazer if I ever did see one. Here to accept the award is Michaela Jaé herself.
Thank you very, very, very much. One, it is an honor to be receiving this award. I'm appreciative of my community and just appreciative of being seen by my community. So I'm just thankful for the Gallica Award. And I'm just going to keep doing my thing, just keep showing up for the generation. We were having a conversation before about the generations behind us. got to keep instilling, hope inside of them. So I'm just going to keep trying my best to instill hope. For me, it's a balance. I mean, there are moments where I'm just like, I just wish I wasn't seen as just the trans, quote unquote commodity. But there are also moments where I know that there's a generation behind me that needs to know what transness looks like, and also how we are being represented in the world and how we're standing out more than we ever stood out before, because we're having the space to do it and we're allotted the space to take up, So, I mean, there's weird feelings over it, and I always teeter and totter on the fence when it comes to this, because I always want to be seen as a human first. This is my motto. Human is the first thing we see, and then there's Latina, there's Black, there's trans, then there's woman. Like, there's all of those things, but the first thing that happens and who I am is a human being. And I want people to see me as a human being first, who has many attributes to them. And the plus sides of that is being a Latina person, as being a person who's African-American and Black, and being a person who is a woman, and being a person who's trans. Like, those are the things that come afterwards. So, yeah, I just, it's a teeter and totter. I teeter and totter on it sometimes. Believe it or not, I had a lot of influences in my life. I was, I grew up around individuals, not to mention, I mean, I'm a young spirit. I'm a young soul and a young spirit, but also I had a lot of people around me who, had gone through the AIDS epidemic, who had friends. My mom, main person who had that, my father, someone also who had friends who dealt with HIV and AIDS. So they enforced the stories upon me so that I knew about it. I also had wonderful opportunities in my life that taught me automatically, like Rent, being a part of Rent the musical and giving me a crash course on what it was like, and actually being the vessel for a character who actually had to deal with it. So when I got into Pose, I had already had my research done. I had already had the people behind me who knew individuals who had succumbed to HIV and AIDS. So I knew that every single thing that I had within inside of me, the research that I had, along with the research that I was going to be doing more of, because there were just certain things that I didn't know about, because I'm human. And I feel like that's also a part of the work process when it comes to building a character, and also just making sure that you create the kind of story that needs to be seen by the people. But I used all of that and I put it all into my work, and I put it all into Blanca. And I think that's one of the ways how I and we made it work as a collective when it came to the cast. I mean, I'm sure we've all heard about Billy Porter's, recent news, which I think is beautiful, that he's able to actually come out and talk about something like that. But these are a lot of things that certain people were living with. These are things that a lot of the cast members had experienced because they know people in the ballroom scene who was dealing with it too. So I think that's one of the reasons why we were able to, really pinpoint a lot of the things that happened, because some of us experienced it and some of us know about it verbatim. I'm very happy. I wanted people to really see, Michaela Jaé. I wanted to separate myself from Blanca. Not that Blanca was a bad character. She was actually an inspirational character to me. She inspired me so much that I'm doing what I love to do now. You know what I mean? Like, the words from the pages of the script came to life, and I started really receiving the words that she was saying, not what Michaela was saying. So now I'm living and I'm happy, and I'm chasing my music career as much as I can. And, I'm trying to get into that sector of pop R&B. I want to be the girl who's really changing the game. And it's happening quicker than I thought, and I'm liking it.
That glass being empty means I've had 2 shots, but it also means that we have reached the end of another Dorians TV Toast 2021. And I'd like to thank you for joining in. I would like to thank you for supporting the best in diversity when it comes to television. I would like to thank you for all that you do throughout the year for supporting LGBTQIA causes. Sometimes you can support a cause just by watching a program and being entertained. Who knew that? Thanks to John Griffith, Executive Director of Gallica, we would not be here. Literally, this show would not exist and these awards would not happen without John Griffith. So you owe him a big thanks. Also, show. We'd like to thank Monica, the president of our board. We'd like to thank Brandon Riley Miller, Jason Young, who does the awards that everybody is talking about. Everybody in Hollywood is talking about the Dorian Award, and Jason Young designs those. We have a small crew, but we are dedicated to bring you the best in entertainment on television and in film each and every year from the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics. I am Korell. Be who you want to be so it doesn't hurt anybody. Remember, you can follow me at social media. It's Really Korell, ReallyKarel. Of course, you can subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/Really Korell. And everything about the Dorians is at DoriansToast.com or Gallica.org. I wish I could, had a TV thing like tugging on my ear or, whatever. And I hate leaving you. I really do, especially after 2 shots of Jameson's. But it's time to get back into the world, to keep watching programs. And now it's time to go to the movies because the next thing coming up is the Dorians Film Toast 2022. Although you may want to go to the movies in the safety of your own living room for a while. Like I said before, I am Korell. You be who you want to be, so long as it doesn't hurt anybody. Good night, good morning, good evening, good whenever you're watching.